Maria, I think you're muted.
Sorry, you'd think I know to unmute by now in March, but I noticed on social media that was this your first like water bottle bath in the locker room after a win? And I saw that they even got your daughter Kylie to splash water all over you.
I don't think it's the first splash, post-game splash. We'll just call it that. It was definitely the coldest one. They used water from the coolers that were freezing. And Kylie happened to be with me. It was not on my radar. I don't know why it wasn't on my radar, but it wasn't on my radar. So I brought her in with me, and she was soaking wet as well.
Go next, Cora.
Kellie, obviously a pretty big rematch coming up. What do you feel like are the biggest ways that Virginia Tech has maybe changed or improved since you saw them in December that will pose a challenge for you guys?
Well, I think they're still really talented. They were really talented when they came in here, obviously led by the player of the year in Kitley. But I think where they're playing with a little bit more confidence is with George Amore. She's on a really big time roll right now and in scoring the ball tremendously well. And then I think everybody else is still doing what they do well. They're playing their parts. They've been pretty consistent all year, but I think in particular Georgia's just playing some of her best basketball right now.
Teresa.
Kellie, to follow up on that, the alternative, how much has your team grown since then? Obviously, you don't have Tamari, but Rakia wasn't in that game. And it almost feels like it's been dog years essentially for your team, and from that December date to now.
It does seem like an eternity ago for us. But I think, you get in the middle of your season and, you're so focused on the present moment that those games can seem like a different season. I think we've grown as a team. Obviously, the personnel that we had during that game is very different than what we have now. But I think our whole overall vibe on how we're playing is a little bit different, and hopefully our team has a little bit more confidence right now than we did back in December, because we know at this point you've got to play well. Doesn't matter who you're playing, doesn't matter what you did in November or December. You've got to play a really good basketball game to win.
Casey.
Obviously, the wins in the first and second round of the tournament build confidence, but with having such a big scoring margin, the team has been able to have just so much fun. How do you think that is going to play to their benefit in the Sweet 16?
Well, I think right now everybody is happy and they're excited. They're feeling good about their performance and what they were able to do. And that is our entire roster. That's not just a handful of people. Everybody on our team is feeling good right now. I think our bodies are in good shape. I think we're strong and fit, and I think they're feeling good. I think they're coming out of games really well right now. So hopefully that's a plus. But I just think the momentum that we had, the way the games were played out, and the contribution by everybody has really given us good feeling, good vibes right now. And hopefully we can carry that over into practice and preparation going into our next game.
Cora.
Last time around, Virginia Tech didn't score 60 points, and a lot of that was due to the fact that Tamari Key has basically shut down Elizabeth Kitley for 2 years in a row. Obviously, you guys don't have her now, but Caroline and Jillian have had ample time to prepare for that. How much confidence do you have in those two sophomores to step up and be able to carry on what Tamari's been able to do against this team?
Yeah, I think, again, what we need from Caroline and Jillian and Jasmine Franklin, all three of them, we need them to be tough. We need them to play with SEC experience. they've been through a tough league. Now, look, it's going to be hard to shut her down, and we get that. And that, I don't know that can be your game plan going into the game. But we need them to really be locked in and understand what the game plan will be and how to execute that game plan. We've seen a lot of talented players. She gives you a little bit different look than maybe what we've seen in the SEC, but fortunately, at least Caroline had a few minutes on the court with her.
Maria.
Coach, I asked your players about this, and I told them to think about it for a minute, and they got what I was saying. I told them I was specifically asking about the defense. You have played good defense at times this season. What you did against Toledo was outstanding, 1 through 5. And I told them that Pat Summitt used to say, "Be careful what you show me." And what she meant is that if you've shown me you can do it, now I'm going to expect you to do it every time. Where was the buy-in? I have not seen Tennessee play that level of defense this year, that in terms of sustained defense all the way through the game.
Yeah, I think it's been building. I think we have had some moments, and I think we, have really been moving in that direction. But to me, it was, buy-in, yeah, maybe the best word. To me, it's the focus and the determination that they had for 40 minutes was really impressive. And they did not take Toledo lightly, and I think it showed. Toledo is a really good basketball team, and fortunately our fans probably saw that from what they did with Iowa State. So our team was really locked in. But I think we've had some of those moments coming up, and so it was good to see that. And I think our players are feeding off of that energy right now. They were proud of their defensive effort in both of our first round games. They were really proud, and that makes me excited.
Devin.
Hi there, Coach. Devin Hoke from WUTK Sports. Now, I might be sounding like a broken record here. I know that you've just covered it several times, but I think it needs to be stated again. Toledo, there was such a size disadvantage. Their head coach talked about it in the post game, and that was one way your team was able to dominate. And Kittley, of course, she's 6'6". I mean, just huge, strong presence in the paint. I'm assuming the game plan heading in is going to be completely different than that of Toledo. I was wondering what strategies you were going to do to try to shut down the paint. Were you thinking about sucking the players closer into the basket, or maybe playing more of a zone defense?
Well, I think our complete game plan hasn't completely been hashed out yet. We'll continue to work through that. We've got practices on Thursday and Friday to finalize and really polish up our game plan. I think the challenge that you have with Virginia Tech is you have such great inside presence with Liz Kittley, but you are very limited in what you can do with her teammates because they shoot the ball so well. And now the way Georgia's playing, you're going to have to key in on her as well, which is going to complicate things while you're guarding Kittley. I mean, it's just, at some point we may have to pick and choose what we're gonna do. But I tell you, we'll have a game plan that our team will be excited about. They'll be confident with, and to be quite honest, our staff will probably have a plan B and maybe even a plan C as we go into this game. I think, at this point, when it's a lose or go home, you better have some alternatives, because if it's not working or you got to find something else, you better have something to go to.
Right.
Coach, on Selection Sunday, you said getting here into the tournament is the baseline. But how does it feel now to have led this team to back-to-back Sweet 16s for the first time since you took over?
Yeah, I'm so excited for our team. I was actually talking to Jordan Horston today about, her being at the Sweet 16 last year, but just not getting to participate. So I'm excited for her, but I'm also happy that she was there. Just being there, seeing it, feeling it, and understanding it, I think is a plus. I'm proud of the team, and I'm proud of the consistency that it takes to get to back-to-back Sweet 16s. Just being a good team isn't going to get you there. I mean, look at the teams that aren't playing this weekend. I mean, there's some unbelievably talented teams not playing, and the matchup matters, the draw matters, but when it comes right down to it, you've got to figure it out, and you've got to continue to get better throughout the season, because you've got to be playing some really good basketball in those first 2 rounds to continue to advance. And I think you've got to have buy-in. I think you've got to, your team has to be motivated, and you've got to be playing really well to continue to advance.
Teresa.
Kellie, we asked about it a little bit over the weekend, but now we know that the first and second rounds across all of women's set an attendance record of over 231,000. Now we go to the Greenville and Seattle regions. How curious, now that the teams are set, is how level a playing field should it be? And are you a little curious to see what the fan attendance is now that we go to these,
Obviously, I think the tough thing is the proximity that the teams have to Seattle. And so we have fans across the nation, but obviously our main fan base is near and in Tennessee. I would say that would be the same for most of the other teams that are going out to Seattle. The closest team is Colorado. And when I say the close of the 8 that are in Seattle, so it'll be interesting to see, one, what the crossover is, how many folks from Friday night are going to stay on Saturday and watch games, or how many fans are coming that aren't attached to teams. It's going to be interesting to see. And obviously I think it was, just kind of this experiment to see how to best market and gain fans in the stands for these regionals. So I'm very curious to see what it's going to look like and how well it will be attended.
Cora.
I want to go back to Virginia Tech's 3-point shooting really quick, because it's a lot of it is more, but they take a lot of threes, like almost 40% of their shot attempts are threes. And that wasn't necessarily a strength of your teams at the beginning of the season to defend the perimeter, but last 10 games, teams have taken 193s, only made 50 against you guys. What have you seen that has helped the team kind of really hone in on that perimeter defense and be able to limit teams to under 30% shooting from there?
Well, you're right. I think statistically over the course of the season, that has not been our strength. And we've known it. We've, tried to work on it. I think sometimes your best 3-point defense is when you're guarding the ball one-on-one better. Then you have less closeout opportunities. You have less scramble opportunities. So, you want to start with your one-on-one defense and try to make that as good as you can make it. The thing about Virginia Tech, they run great sets. They do a great job capitalizing on your mistakes on their offensive end, making an extra pass. And you're right. It's more than George Moore. They take a lot of threes, period. So you've got to be able to get out and guard the 3-point line. And, I think it's going to be a challenge. You've got to decide where you're going to go with ball screen defense. You've got to decide how you're going to play one-on-one defense. You got to decide how you're going to play Kittley to be able to guard all 5 of them, because that's what you have to do. You're not just guarding 2 people, that we could probably figure that out if we were only guarding 2 people, but we got to guard 5. And I think that makes them hard to guard, but obviously that's why they are where they are. I mean, that they didn't luck into a number 1 seed. It's not a joke. It's not wrong. I mean, they earned it, and they're playing really well.
Casey.
You mentioned it a little earlier with Jordan Horston getting the experience last year in the Sweet 16, even though she wasn't on the court, and there's no players on the Virginia Tech roster that have experienced the caliber of a Sweet 16 game. Do you view that as an advantage over Virginia Tech that you guys do have that from last year with the majority of the girls?
Well, I think it always helps when you've had experience. I think that's good for you. I don't know if it's going to be a deciding factor in the game, but I think it is good for your team to have a comfort of knowing what to expect, knowing what it looks like, you know, and understanding the challenges that you have. You know, I also, I think when the ball's tipped, it's just basketball, right? You know, but I do like that our team, a lot of the players on our team have been in this situation.
Maria.
Coach, it's probably anxiety inducing for coaches, but for fans, has this been a tremendous tournament to watch? I mean, 2 number 1 seeds are out for the first time ever in the second round. Just this is what the game wanted to become, this kind of parity. Is this exactly what the game needs?
You know, it was unpredictable, or at least it has been up to this point. You better tune in. You better watch your TV because you never know what is going to happen. And I've really enjoyed watching the games this year. They've been competitive. They've been compelling. You know, and obviously, I think it's good for women's basketball. There've been a lot of close games going down the stretch. So I think the competitive games, and if that's because of parity, then yeah, I think it's been good for our game.
Right.
Coach, something that sticks out to me is after the SEC championship, Dawn Staley said, even long after her career is done, the Lady Vols will still be the standard in women's basketball. How do you approach always being one of the focal points of the sport, even in years when you're not the number 1 team in the country?
Just part of it. You have to embrace it. You embrace what being a Lady Vol means. You embrace what Tennessee means to women's basketball. And you have to understand that we have a responsibility to women's basketball. When we're good, women's basketball, NCAA women's basketball is better. And I think there's an expectation there. Some people can look at it as a pressure. We just look at it as it's just part of being at Tennessee. It's just part of the expectation. And, you know, I think a lot of people can look at it as a negative, but we look at it as a positive. I mean, we really do. It's just a big deal. It's just different here. And it's always going to be. And not because of me. You know, it's because of all the people that came before. It's because of what Pat did. It's Joan Cronin. It's what was built here years and years ago. That's where the standard was set. That's never going to change. And you know, I think what we try to do is go out and make that. You know, you're trying to hit that standard, but you're just trying to make all that came before you, trying to make them proud of who you are and how you go about being a Lady Vol every single day.
Laura.
Virginia Tech has number 25 scoring defense in the country, so it's not going to be, you know, it's going to be a challenge at both ends of the court. And I feel like earlier in the season, you know, in some losses, you know, we talk about offensive discipline, and sometimes there's lapses in that. But now, you know, in this recent stretch of games, that really hasn't been too much of an issue at all. How confident are you in that, you know, where they are with the offense and having that discipline for 40 minutes? And is there anything that sticks out to you that's besides time that's helped that?
Yeah, I think recently we've been really consistent on both ends of the court. So specifically talking about our offense, I think I think our team has done a nice job of, you know, valuing the possessions on the court. And that's not just taking care of the basketball, it's taking the right shots, you know, finishing. And we'll continue to work on that going into the game, because I think that's huge for us, you know, making sure that we're not just getting a game plan defensively for Virginia Tech, but we're putting a game plan offensively out there that our players are comfortable with. They, you know, that they feel confident with, but also that, you know, the staff wants to utilize. So it's a big deal, because you know, you can slow Virginia Tech down but you're going to have to score with them to be able to beat them. So you've got to be really sharp on both ends of the court. You're not going to, you're not going to hold them to 40 something. It's just not going to happen. You've got to go out and compete well on both ends of the court. Obviously, we've done that recently. So, we want to continue to find ways to keep that consistency going.
We'll go next to Devin and then we'll conclude with Maria.
All right, Coach. Now I just wanted to say, I think you are an incredible coach, and this is in my opinion, you face a lot of unbelievable and, in my opinion, unfair criticism from other people. But going on this recent run, upsetting LSU in the SEC tournament, completely dominating two great teams in St. Louis and Toledo, and somebody else mentioned, I believe, in the Toledo press conference, it was like one of the most dominant, first two rounds. I mean, only UConn, like a few other times, has had that dominant performances. There's always going to be criticisms. There's always going to be haters. But how much do you feel like you and this team and this staff has shut down that criticism so far that you faced, in my opinion, unfairly so much through, especially those losses earlier in the season?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty good at blocking all that out throughout the season. Not going to really dwell on that. Not going to worry about that too much. I think for me and our staff, we go about our business. I've done this many years now, and I feel very confident about how we go about things. And I stayed with the mindset that this team could really come on strong, and we really believed in them. And I think the key to that was our players believed. And there's a lot of work that goes in to get to that point, and our players really believed in this team. And I think that's why you've been able to see us have some success late, because they stuck with it. I think sometimes the players get criticized a little too much. They're young college athletes that have a lot on their plate. And, I think it's unfair at times. I'm okay with the criticism getting thrown at coaches. I mean, this is my profession, and, I understand that comes with the territory. But, I'm just proud of our team. And, if we were doing it to prove some people wrong, I think you might see some inconsistency. We're just every day trying to be the best we can be the best team we can be, so that you have an opportunity to play in the Sweet 16. And, playing some of your best basketball late, I think, is really indicative of how we've grown this season.
Maria.
Coach, success and confidence can sometimes be contagious. And right now you look at what's going on at Tennessee. Obviously the men also in the Sweet 16, but I mean, softball is on tremendous success. Rowing wins their first meet. Tennis has been dominating in their SEC games. Track, swimming, national, competition and All-Americans. Does it help? Does it sort of filter through all the teams when you see all of this success happening around you?
I think success breeds success. I do. And the climate here on campus right now is amazing. I mean, you want to be part of a winning program anywhere you go, but when you're looking around and you're surrounded by so many other successful athletes and teams, it's inspiring. You're pulling for each other, they're pulling for you. It's a big deal. It really is. And I've got cold chills just thinking about it. Obviously, I love this university and I love this athletic department. And what I see right now is other athletes have that same love. And they're proud of one another. And I mean, we're going through our itinerary for Seattle, and we're literally talking about landing, going straight to dinner to be able to watch our men. We want to pull for them. We want to be there to support them. They probably can't hear us from Seattle, but we'll do our very best. And I just think it's a great time to be a Vol and a Lady Vol. Certainly is.
All right. Thank you all for jumping on with us today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.